Okay, so we've got lighting compensation so you can actually see me a little bit. We're basically slowly working up to where we already were originally. This one is gonna be more of just like a hangout. So you can see, oh, hey, look, it's some of the past recordings. Remember that one? I don't know what that is. We're just gonna kind of hang out and fool around with a thing. I realized I've never made a video that just gets you from the start to the end of scoring a design abstract song. So many people that I run into just assume that anytime you have synth or keyboards, it's me from the future editing this. The reason that I went keyboards is because I have this pet peeve. Back when I was first getting into this music, I had issues with people differentiating symphonic and melodic metal because they heard like a string patch and just thought it was an orchestra, or vice versa, like Dimmu Borgir is just like played on a keyboard. And people who are dumb tend to refer to anything from an Evanescence piano to like a full Flesh God Apocalypse orchestra as keyboards. And those people are dumb and wrong. So that's why I do that, because keyboards. Because like you look at, you know, I've said this before because I say it every time, I love Dimmu Borgir concert, right? There's like 250 people on the stage. People who listen to that album and think that's keyboards, they're dumb and wrong. Or orchestra, that is being played by a real person in the band. Like every time you hear a piano or synth or whatever, somebody's sitting in the studio shredding away. And like, if you've watched the intro video of this, you know I work with computers a lot easier than I work with people. Well, Design Abstract has in the past featured a couple of people on the recordings. Usually it's nothing like what you'd think. So like Emanate had Christina Fan on piano, but keep in mind those parts were already written. I already programmed them in, and she basically just played them to humanize them. Everything in these recordings is all just done in the computer, right? Like the only instruments that are real are the ones that don't sound like garbage. What am I trying to say? The only ones that aren't sampled are the ones that sound like garbage when you try to sample them. So like guitars, and I mean, I guess vocals and bass, and like, yeah, I wish we could have real drums, but you know, that's expensive. And sample drums, if you program them right, sound pretty good. Allow me to summarize. Design Abstract is a symphonic melodic death metal band with synth and orchestra. So for random example, shit like this, right? Nobody played that. I programmed it in on a MIDI grid. You can tell because this is velocities and they're all the same. When you humanize a velocity, all you do is add in imperfections like that. I don't need to do that on synth. Synth isn't supposed to sound like a human's playing it. That's the thing. To an extent, orchestra isn't either. Okay. Like I said, this video is just hanging out. We're just vibing. We're just chilling. I just neutered my voice a little bit, but I was getting a weird resonance. What we're doing in this video is we're going to take a chunk of a Design Abstract song that is on the new album. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play this section, and then I'm going to get rid of all the scoring and just rebuild it, just rescore it. And I'll kind of walk you through what exactly I'm doing. I'll play the first chunk. We're only going to be focusing on this part, but... So that's as far as we're going. So here's how I look at a piece like this. I group everything that we do into 3 categories. It might seem stupid, but that's just how I work. Orchestra, synth, random noises. Typically, random noises are pre-rendered that I pull from libraries, or I just start fucking with synth until it becomes inhuman. So for example, this is just from a sample pack, and all I did was added a tremolo. So, it just sounds like this. Just weird space noise. All I did was add this trap. And then in this transition, I added a render of a water phone. This is an actual sample, and I just rendered it down. And then that is a very cut up, just part of a sample pack. I don't buy a lot of sample packs, but you know, I'll just like whooshes and cinematic hits and whatever. Like I'll chop them up and have fun with them. You know, so these are just noises, in my opinion. Also, under this intro, I have a synth. This synth I programmed from scratch. Now, this is velocity. In this synth, I'm not synthman, talk Logan into doing synth things, but basically, this velocity, I'm just telling the synthesizer to open up the filter, which is that wow sound. But then I also have it just kind of doing its own thing. So you can hear that rhythm. Ding, 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 ding. That's just the filter opening up. It's just a thing. It just sounds cool when you layer it together. You know? And then the last thing, I have this nice somber cello solo. To my ear, that doesn't sound real, but it sounds close enough. On the last album, when there was solo cello, we got a cellist to actually play the thing. Might do it the same here, unless I change this. I don't know. But this I consider orchestra. Those are the 3 elements, and then obviously you combine it with the metal. And you get that. Now listen to the you hear it rise in pitch of this blob here. Like, so it's just texture. And I just combine those 3 elements in different ways. So over here, on the other hand, this goes into more. This is the part we're going to be focusing on. This is like a almost traditional design abstract type section. It's a little heavy on the horns compared to the strings. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to rework it to be more string heavy. But this is all it is. We'll listen to it once more. Okay, the orchestral elements of this are these. Now, there's a lot to talk about here, but I'll at least just play them soloed. This should be pretty intuitive if you've done music on a computer before. You should be able to tell that this is going to be dissonant. This is going to be dissonant because when you play 2 notes on a piano together and all this is a piano, like, it's going to sound crunchy. So, okay, I use East-West Quantum Leap Symphony Orchestra shit for, like, everything I do. But depending on the song, I do a whole bunch of different things, which is going to be a little confusing. So on this, I have a patch loaded up with, so trumpets, staccato French horns, normal French horns, trombones, staccato trombones, and is that a string? Oh, cool. And a staccato string section. All playing together. So it's just this patch. I'll start muting. So we've got staccato strings, trumpets, horns, trombones, staccato trombones. This software is awesome because when you're actually going to hear it, I will load all these up close mic'd and surround mic'd and pan them properly, and it's a whole thing. Side tangent. I'm not good at explaining this stuff. I've been doing this for like a fucking decade now, so it's just things I do, right? On Emanate and on really big songs like Decryptor, what I would do is I would render out, or no, not render, oh my god, I would pull up instruments for every single instrument in an orchestra, and I would pan all those accordingly. I would have loaded up all of the key switches for every single instrument so I could switch between articulations. That's all in this software. I paid $1,400 for this software. They shipped it to me on a hard drive. I'm old. That was before the internet worked very well. But there's some songs where it just doesn't matter, so I'll just make a patch out of all of these, kind of volume level them accordingly, and away we go. This one is obviously really heavy on the horns. The limitations of that is I want to play chords, but then I also want to play these staccato notes, which you can probably hear underneath. So what I do is I cheat, and I load up, again, trumpet staccato again, but a different articulation, French horn staccato, and trombone staccato. Now, keen viewers will observe that at this point, I'm loading up way more horn players than are actually in a symphony. If this wasn't going to be buried under death metal, I would do it the right way, but this is sort of what we do. Then lastly, I do eventually bring in the strings, and judging by my awful spelling, this will be a strings and a choir patch. You can barely hear the choir, but it's there. So all together, nice, cute arrangement, right? So the thing is, I didn't play this on piano. I just didn't. I don't know how to explain that better without being an asshole. Hi. Remember when I used to make these videos and my cat would bother me? This is Peaches. She is different. She is a little baby. So, I'm gonna play it again. I guess just listen for these. Actually, that doesn't make sense. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mute him. It's just death metal, right? It's just death metal. All this needs to be normal death metal. Just, you know? You combine these. And you get Design Abstract. Okay, now what we're gonna do is, I'm not gonna delete these because obviously I need to, you know, like this is a real song that I really need to finish. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna score it differently. We're gonna forget about the triumphant battle cry horn motif, and I'm gonna try to shape it to a different direction. We're just gonna ignore these for the time. I'm just gonna kind of go up here, I guess, where the guitars and the drums are, and we'll just make something different. And I'm just gonna do it exactly how I would approach scoring, and it might shock and depress you how imprecise and random it is. So go over here, gonna load up play. Normally I would at least have some semblance of a melody idea, but what we're gonna do instead, typical Design Abstract song, strings. Like I said, if we're going try-hard mode, I would literally load up violin section 1, violin section 2, viola section, cello section, and contrabass section, all with key switch articulations, which means that they can go from like a long, nice, you know, drawn out legato to staccato to spiccato to pizzicato. But we're going easy mode because this is just a chuggy death metal section, so I'm just going to open up a full string section. And just so that I have our bases covered, I'm going to load up marcato, which is like staccato, and a full, just regular sus. We'll actually label it, something I don't normally do, and then I always misspell it and leave it. Okay. So, this is the blank canvas. This is the blank Word document, the blank, you know, this is where it starts. We are in B minor. So if I'm going to make a big, huge kind of pad string just to start it out, just to get the vibe, try it there. B, 5th, 3rd. Now that rhythm is stuck in my head. So I sort of want to see what that sounds like again, but with strings. Now, this is going a little more into music theory, but design abstract, less so recently, but still a lot. We just have B pedals, right? It's just like, it's a 7-string guitar, Logan plays an 8-string, whatever. 7-string guitar, open B, we're chugging open. It's just B. But this is a lot of bars to just play B. And funny enough, this is also B. So, what do? Well, there's two things you can do. You can revoice this B chord a whole bunch of ways. So if I pull this up to D, this is just in second inversion. First inversion. It's been a while. So, all we're doing is taking the same notes in a B chord and just changing them. Now, if you've listened to my band, you might notice that this sounds kind of like everything that we've ever done. Oh, I heard a thing. I want this to go up to here, actually, like that. Ooh, that's pretty. And then that wants to resolve. Do, do, right, to B. I don't know about that A. Yeah. I was actually gonna scrap this. This doesn't sound that bad. I don't like how the... whatever. Sure. So the first one we had with the horns was very... soldiers fight onto the battlefield, Romans, whatever. This is a tad more dreamy. I think it's still a little aggressive. It's still death metal. But just kind of for fun, what I'm going to do is I'll pull down something that we're just going to have fun, see where it goes. What I'm feeling is orchestral chimes. I'm a sucker for somebody's at the door. I'm a sucker for these, but I've also been using them a lot in my own Voicide. But let's combine them with something interesting. We're also gonna get some xylophone in here. Xylophone gets memed on because it sounds like a news report, but it's good. Xylophone's good. Legato flutes. We're not doing anything super try hard here. I actually don't even know what this is gonna sound like. Eh. Oh, it's way too low for the flute. Okay. So, my logic with this scoring is that up here in the strings, it gets busier here. This is pretty plain, so it gets busy here, and then this part's plain. I don't know if these two are going to sound good together. And for what it's worth, I didn't learn any of this shit in school. Like, this school would have never taught me shit like this. I just did this from doing music. Oh, everything's at that last note. Cute. That's cool. You know what it needs, though? Those large... No, not even. Not even. We'll just do violas. And just like staccato violas. That's not what I meant. I meant pizzicato. And replace just this. Okay. Yeah, so that's cool, right? And it changes the vibe. Not a ton. It still sounds like Design Abstract. It's always going to sound like Design Abstract. Oh, that's what was happening. Huh. That sucks. Okay. But vibe 1. There's a little bit of adventure there. There's a little bit of uncertainty. This, that's impressive. That's commanding, you know. Yeah, so this is what I would do. And then say, here's the other trademark classic. So we've got the orchestra. Now, okay, tangent. Something that people probably think that I do that I don't actually do is process this shit to be crazy. So like in a mix, right? That would be it. Like I might add a little bit of like gain to the strings if they need to cut through, but I'm not like synth processing these or whatever. I wouldn't do, here's what I'm going to show you, something I wouldn't do. So like, is it cool? Yeah. Is it industrial? Totally. Is it our vibe? No. And I would almost never do stuff like that. Like, almost. Sometimes I'll, like, distort a piano, or, like, I'll put a bit crusher on those bells, but it's such a specific sound, and I don't treat it as an orchestral thing anymore. It becomes a synth, because I almost always have an orchestral pad that is just untouched. It's unmolested by its stupid processing. Because the core sound of it, right, is, like, real as we can get drums. You know, people think that the drums are real. It's good enough for me. Bass is just normal, right? It's the wrong bass. And then guitars are just like super unprocessed. This is a lot of editing for Logan, and like this is final. This is I just in blocks of 4 so I could loop it. And same with the orchestra. It's like it's unprocessed. But we are known for synth. I find it ironic because, of course, I know how the sausage is made. So, I used to have a physical K2, like a Behringer K2. It sounds like, you know, in Portal 2 when you got the jelly that makes you zoom. You can hear a little synth, it's like a crunchy, overdriven synth sound. That, I swear they did that on a K2 or something very similar with the filter. It's like a dual band filter or whatever. Again, don't ask me synth things. That's Logan's job. Okay, so this is Saurus. A little while ago, I pulled up a crazy blue synthesizer. Same company, Tone 2. They're awesome. I like this one better because it's more minimal and easier for my dumb brain. And I mention Logan every time I mention synth because Logan takes synthesis and, you know, makes the process part of the musicality. He likes the randomness, he likes the texture, he likes whatever. He can do crazy stuff. He builds modular synth, the whole deal. I use synth as a means to a melodic end, and that is it. So I will show you how much effort goes into a typical Design Abstract string patch. Okay, so we're in B minor. Double time. Okay, I know a little, whatever, just, you can watch, you can observe, starting to sound like Muse, yeah, LFO to pulse width. I don't know why it's re-triggering there. Or do I? Yeah, I could do. But I don't like it. Okay, we're not gonna go quite that stupid. We're gonna... You'll notice this is a bar and a half. And it peaks at like the third beat or whatever. That was the fourth beat. So then it lines up every 3 bars, which is kind of cute. Cool. How do I make it? Whoops. Okay. Okay. Yeah, sorry, that's probably really boring to watch. What was I doing? I don't know, man, like oscillators, triangle wave, whatever this is, square wave, low frequency, octave down, I don't know. It's just like 2 octaves of like, just like beep boop, whatever. LFO is just a woo does this. Look up a basics for synthesizers. I barely know how they work. One LFO is going to the pulse width of voice 1 just because I like how that sounds. And then I almost always LFO the filter. If that's not precise enough, I'll turn the filter off and then I'll run a filter automated. I'll show you how that works. But first, let's see how that sounds. That's the texture, right? That should immediately, if you've heard our band, you're like, that's it. And yeah, that's it. Now, I don't like how it's peaking at the 3, the 4, sorry. I don't know why I'm weird with that. So, all I'm going to do is 1 and 2, and... Okay. That's where we want it, so I just have to make more goofy. So, okay, sorry, I'm not good at explaining my workflow. So, I hope it's obvious. Like, this is just, I'm only programming in 3 notes, right? Just like the minor, it's just B minor, it's just the triad. And I'm just scattering them because a synth can do that. And people maybe can, I don't know. I've never asked anybody to play this stuff. I don't like talking to people. So, keep in mind, we're only doing this really stupid because this whole thing is a beat paddle, right? So there's times, I don't know if this song's one of them. No, this song's really dumb. You know, every 1 or 2 bars there's a chord change. I will reprogram these stupid dots for every single voicing of that chord, or sometimes I'll just make them a pedal. Sometimes it'll just be octaves of B. I don't know. Right now we're just going B triad, see how it sounds. I just didn't like how it was peaking off time. It stuck out of the texture in a way that was distracting, and this can't be distracting. This is just icing. It's like it's not even icing. It doesn't even get to be icing. It's like specifically the sprinkles on the icing, if that. Okay, 2 bars instead. Simple. Right. That's it. It needs. And then it needs. Well, fuck me. I wish I could tell you there's like a rhyme or reason for like. It's just the arpeggiated thing. I suddenly got really tired. I don't know why. I was about to advertise this great free plugin, but now I'm scared to fucking boot it up. So I'm gonna use a different free plugin that I like. Okay. Okay, that was so much work just to hear this. So that's the thing, right? Like that's the sound. And that's about how much, I want to say it, that's about how much effort I'd put. God damn it. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I've had enough caffeine today to kill a medium-sized horse. I don't know why I'm so tired. Okay. Like I said, we're just hanging out. The reason this wasn't a Twitch stream is because I can't do the inputs. I have to use 2 computers to not fuck my, it's either I use 2 computers and a physical output, or I fuck up all the audio settings, and when I try to load up a legit studio thing to record, which is the thing I do, it breaks everything, and it really pisses me off, so I'm never doing it again. Just for fun, we're gonna take the filter off of this. It's gonna be bright. Instead, we're gonna use, you know what, we're gonna use the filter that sounds like the K2 that I mentioned. It has a drive in it, that's cool. All I have to do, which if you know how to use a DAW, we're just automating the high and low cut. And low, I don't know. That's cool, except for the parts where it disappears. And also that should be here, probably. You will notice I just programmed this in. No keyboardist. I didn't even touch a piano. Here's the only piano in immediate vicinity. I can't find a cable for it. That's not normal, but that's how we do it. We, meaning literally me and Logan. That's the design abstract workflow. Yeah. Like I said, if I was going turbo tryhard mode, what I would do is I would pull this thing, another play sampler, and I'd go through and we'd take the first 11 violin, key switch, watch the computer crash again, key switch master. Why did it default to that? That's so dumb. Something you should notice, even just with me poking around the keyboard, is that already, sounds way better than, like, I don't know if you can hear it, it's more detailed. Even if we just have one voice, we're gonna mute all the low stuff, right? So in theory, this is the same range. And, you know what, we'll even mute the thing. The marcato. Alright, so like, it's pretty. If we bring it here, alright, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, these key switches are articulations. I can't memorize them, I don't care. So, for example, if we switch this to F0, like the game F0, that's supposed to be tremolo. F0. Am I dumb? Yeah, I'm dumb. That's F1. F0. Ooh, we get spooky strings. G sharp 0 is like some lyrical. Oh, it's so pretty. And then, yeah, eventually you can go down and you'll get, you know, pizzicato as well. And those weird scratch effects that you heard. Hopefully you get how that works. So that, but every instrument in an orchestra, and then I would just trigger them. But you can see all these patches are loaded up, so it's crazy on the memory. And if I'm going super tryhard mode, that's how I'll write the string parts, so that they could be reduced to a classical score if necessary. That's how I did the bridge in Decryptor. If you go back and listen to like that entire section of Decryptor, it's all written for proper orchestra, but I just skipped the score notation part and went directly to MIDI because I'm a freak and I do that. I used to do everything on actual score and then translate it over to this, but writing it with a proper score and then exporting it to MIDI into a DAW actually took less time than just brute force learning how to use the MIDI dots. Anyway, we're not doing that. For this, because it's death metal, we're just doing this. Get rid of that. And then, yeah, what have you on the next part. So that's it, right? The computer really does do everything. Like, we don't pretend that it doesn't. Like, if I were to play a show, I would want to have a full string section that can do this. I would demand it. And I mean, it's the same with like all the orchestral stuff. I do use the same. I use East-West. Pianos are different. I've got a few different pianos, and also their taiko drums are kind of like meh. But orchestral stuff, that's it. Someday maybe I'll go into advanced stuff, because the one interesting thing I've found is to make stuff sound more real, you layer it with something turbo fake. You know what, I'll just do it. I'll just show you what I mean. So, if I wanted, we're going to get rid of the old one. We're going to go back to the old one. Okay, we're getting rid of this. We're back to so you can probably hear what it's going for, but it gets a little lost. It's a little mushy. check out this stupid nonsense. So I'm loading up Gladiator into their semi-real patches, and that's the one. Okay. Cool. And then, oh, I almost loaded up the Danger one. I guess I just won't use any. Okay. Okay. The other thing we're going to do is put a transient shaper and go like that to make the attack poke more. So, without. With the cheesiest synth brass patched garbage. Why does it make it sound more real? That's probably the secretest hack. So, you know how I said I leave all the orchestra stuff unmolested? I will do stuff like that as a production technique. I render it in a different thing. I don't treat it like it's orchestra. I just treat it like as a layer of glue. I might leave that because that's typically what I would do if those aren't poking through enough. Yeah, hopefully that like unmystifies some of this process. That process that you saw, how it just kind of like shit out a string section with synth over it. Now keep in mind, a lot of the stuff that I write isn't that cynical, but it's like the same, like your average band isn't going to approach every single riff they write with like this, like, you know, hallowed Zen comprehensive contemplative approach. You know, sometimes you just need a riff, but you know, I'm just saying, like, that is all there is to it. It's just what these strings do that change the vibe. You know, if I wanted something to be a little more, we're gonna mute this temporarily. There's a spider up there. Should I? Yeah, I'm just gonna murder it. Oh, this is the worst day of my life. Oh my god, I knocked it down onto my desk. You know, before I said we're just gonna rearrange the chord tones. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to imply a chord progression. Let's try to make it more epic. So what I would do, bring the strings up higher, use thirds. We're also gonna That's right. That's right. That's it. And then we're gonna move to the 4. So the voice leading I do is like, it's classical when I care. It follows box rules when I care. I don't always care. Ooh. And then we're gonna bring in the harmonies, except that's just the same fucking note, pretty sure. I can hear it. And then that needs to go up, I guess, because I'm basic. So that's cool. It kind of outlines a 1-4, and then it obviously wants to go back to the 1. I think that just wants to stay here. You hear me like lose top end. Now if I was really turbo smart, that's where I would like make the synth do stuff. Ooh. But the melody's going down, whatever. Or that's when I would bring this nonsense in, because obviously it's got to be different now. Just like bring it in at the halfway point and ooh, dang, pluck. I don't know what I'm gonna. This is such a weird. What if I did like, and then like a rest. It's so cute. Ugh, it's so cute. Okay, so like. And that loops, right? If I want to go super try hard, I would take the non-chord tones out of this, because we're going from like, this is a B minor, right? But we're moving into an E major. So they share a B, but these F sharps would be a G, because it's E, G, and it's no, it's E minor. It's E minor, and like these B, D, sorry, these D chords, B. So just do some nonsense like this. B, I got most of them. Okay, listen specifically to the synth, because I'm not changing the top and the bottom, but the voicing's different. Okay, I'm not even sure if I can hear it. Oh yeah, you hear that? Okay. So we're mimicking the 1/4 in that as well, which, yeah, is cute. It's cute. This thing is doing nothing. No, that needs to go down, right? Do. So cute. I don't know. Well, that doesn't even make sense because it's over the E. B is an E. It's fine. Okay. So what? Oh, I clicked that. Okay. So we're gonna do that because it loops. We're gonna loop it. So. Feel that? You feel that? Different way to score it, right? Anyway, okay, this video is gonna be such a pain in the ass to edit, and I'm probably gonna do it tonight because that's just how I do things. Takeaways: I didn't do any of that with a keyboardist, much less a keyboard. Everything is sampled. Everything, all the design abstract, the ambience, the aesthetic, right? It's all just done by the computer. Like this shit. I missed the spacebar 5 times. It makes the sound. If I mute this, it's just. We could be that. Sometimes we are that. Not usually. Listen to Ethereal Void. Even it's better than that. It changes so much of the texture, but it's not some crazy process. It's like it took me this long, and honestly, most of this time was spent yapping. Like I do this when the inspiration comes, when the melody comes, I do this in like a couple of hours, right? Yeah, hopefully that helps. That's all the things. 3 elements, right? Orchestra, which we covered, we did variations of. Synth, which is almost exactly this, and if it's not, it's something like this pulse thing. Just like a normal tone. You should be able to hear this sounds the same as the other synth. There's just a huge filter. Oh my god. It's just a filter sweep going up with that same filter. On that same synthesizer, right? And then there's just like weird atmospheric sounds and like big and it's just like silly nonsense like yeah. Yeah, and then cool and like all that stuff like that, just like just call them noises or misc or whatever, and then that's it. Aside from the metal, that's obviously the most important, is just like we have a specific brand of metal that we blend all this stuff with, but that's it. Like, yeah, it's a lot more steps than a normal metal band, but it's not like this crazy process where I'm like scoring all this stuff out like some lunatic, right? I used to, but a lot of the stuff, it doesn't matter. Like orchestral stuff, the dynamics, it doesn't need to be humanized. I will like use it for emphasis. Sorry. So like this counter melody, right, needs to be louder. So listen to that. But like I don't need to run this through humanization to like mess with the timing, because like a orchestra of 200 people, it's gonna be on the downbeat, right? It's not gonna drift like a one drummer. Rarely do I use percussion except in like full orchestral things. Obviously I use strings the most, followed by horns, then woodwinds, but like we work some flutes into there. I like solo woodwinds a lot. Synth really like isn't magic. If you want that, definitely hit Logan up, because he does crazy stuff, crazy procedural blah blah blah. I don't know, I don't understand anything he does. He talks to me like I understand what he does, but I don't. That's the amount of effort I will put into a Design Abstract synth patch. I'll focus more on the melody. If I don't like the shape, I'll rework some of this, or I'll make it more chord heavy, or I'll make it less chord heavy, make it just fifths or just octaves, depending on how much musicality I want. Because a synth sound that's just like pure octaves is gonna, it hits different. Yeah. So that's just one note, right? That's just B. It's not like you can hear the melody, because it's not about the melody. It's about the texture. It's about the chord that it's implying. And when it's just implying one note, it's just nothing. It's just decoration. It's just like, yeah, it's basically nothing. I would never, well, occasionally I would get as fancy as like I'll write some chord voices in the orchestra and then I'll add like different chord voices in the synth. Your ear can't like cross, you don't really hear it. Like you kind of do, but not really. I guess it helps if there's reverb. What was I talking about? So you take this, right, and you make it super reverby. And like, it doesn't turn into a pad, but it's better at outlining those chords. I will obviously process the shit out of these samples, whether I find them or make them. You know, that should go without saying. Occasionally too, I will layer in, I'll take battery, bit crusher, and just layer it over breakdowns. Like the stuff I do it's not super crazy. It's not like, I don't like the term experimental, because at this point I'm really not experimenting. I have like a very specific thing. Alright. In the spirit of Design Abstract, and to show you what I don't do, what I'm going to do is take the string patch and show you how easy it is to make it sound like a synth, something I don't do, just to drive that home. So, we're gonna put a phaser on the strings. So already we're basically there, but I don't like that. Why does it like skip like that? You know, that's weird. Yeah, so that's how easy it is to take like literally anything and make it sound like a synthesizer. And then if you really want to drive it home, I guess you could just no pun intended, because it's a drive plugin. And I mean, it actually, it's like, right? And I turn those off. Like, we could do that. We don't. We probably never will. It's too many things. Like, the sound is like melodic death metal. Specifically, I'm a Gothenburg Melodeath fanboy, right? Real drums, not turbo synthetic, like crazy, you know, like industrial drums. They're normal drums. Guitars, super unprocessed, super natural, all real playing. Occasionally we'll do like a silly, like a tape slowdown, or Logan put one of the guitars to like this weird choppy LFO nonsense, and like, I don't know, very occasionally will we do that. To me, even using the 8-string is too much. That combined with like real orchestral writing, we don't have a real orchestra, but the writing is pretty good, except when I treat it like a patch. And in the future, the next album, the one after this, it's going to be all properly classically scored again, the same way Emanate was. And then very straightforward synth patches, like that little plucky bleepy one. I guess the other thing I didn't go through was like, fuck off. You do this. Is like making the maybe like pluckier like that. It's like one or the other, and it doesn't need to like and that's it. Like that's the formula, and it is a formula. We're gonna start experimenting more with like chords and stuff. I rewatched the analysis of the Deus Ex shit, and I was like, wow, that's even more complicated than I remember it being. I want to push more into doing that, different tonalities and stuff, more chromaticism, more key changes. But as far as the arrangements go, like, this is it, right? It's not experimental because the formula's here. It's just a matter of songwriting and lyrics and everything like that. Occasionally I'll put Bit Crusher on the vocals. That's as far as I go, right? I'm not trying to make this sound super mechanical and super synthetic or whatever. Like, the whole idea is that there's the three elements. There's metal, the orchestra, and the synth, and they all just sound like themselves. I'll put Bit Crusher on drums sometimes, but not in like this crazy mechano-synthetic sort of way. I like everything to have its like regimented place and to be very clean, and I'm not fucking with the orchestra and putting stupid stuff on it like that. I hate that. Like, it's cool if you do it. I'm never doing it. The metal just stays metal. If you mute everything else, it just sounds like metal, but it's just missing those like lead layers, right? The orchestra, if you solo it, just sounds like an orchestra, or it should. And the synth fills in the gaps. Like I said, it's not even icing, it's sprinkles. Because the icing, I think, is the orchestral writing. Yeah. Hopefully that clears things up. I don't even know how long I've been recording. This is, yeah, alright. Until next time.